Assalamu alaikum. Hello everyone. Can you hear me? Oh, thank you. Yeah, okay. So, if you can see my screen and hear my voice, please raise your hand or write in a comment. Yeah, alaikum assalam. Awesome. Yeah, okay. It will be amazing if you introduced yourself in the comments. What's your name, your age, college, and for sure your experience in programming in general, and to be more specific in Flutter. I hope I hope everyone participates. Yes. Cool, Tahani, Safwat, Muhammad. That's amazing. Okay. Let me ask you an important question. Yes, that's amazing. Okay. Is this the first time you hear about Flutter? Yani, or do you have some experience with it? Please share it with me in the comment section. Yes. It will be in English. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Until you introduce yourselves, let me give you a brief about our talk today. Today we will talk about a very important and advanced topic. A lot of people hate this topic because it's not for beginners and they feel that it's not important to learn more about the topic. But we will start from scratch. We will explain every point in detail from the beginning, and I think you will like that after this session. Yeah. So our talk will be about testing in Flutter. I mean here testing in development, not the whole testing as a process in any software product lifecycle. That's called quality assurance or quality control for this product. And that's not the topic we will talk about, but we will take a part of it, and we will know more about how to write tests while writing your Flutter application. So first, let me introduce myself. I'm Tarek Alabd. I'm a software engineer team leader at Megatrust Group, software engineering instructor at Variance and Aerosoft. I have more than 7 years of experience in software engineering. I worked on web development, mobile development, and in different technologies, and so on. In addition to all of that, I'm a content creator at YouTube. You can find my videos, tutorials, and courses about the basics of programming and problem solving, OOP, Flutter, Dart, and more than that on youtube.com/Tarek Alabd. Okay, so let's start from the beginning and ask our first question. At first, the table of contents of this talk, we will talk about what is testing in Flutter, then the types of testing, unit testing, widget testing, and finally integration testing. So let's start from this question. What is testing in Flutter? You can I think you can write your answer, at least your expectation in the comments. Don't worry, we will answer the question, but don't fear to participate. Yeah, I want everyone to participate. Yeah, thank you, Wise. Okay, let me answer this question. Testing is a very important phase in the development lifecycle of an application. It ensures that the application is of high quality. Testing requires careful planning and execution. It's also the most time-consuming phase of development. But really, if you write tests while building your project, that will increase the quality of your code and your project a lot more than building the project without it. So Dart language and Flutter framework provide extensive support for the automated testing of an application. You can use simple tools and concepts to build a clean project that we can work to maintain, scale, and many other options. So I think generally there are 3 types of testing processes. They are available to completely test an application. The first one is unit testing. The second one is widget testing. The third one is the integration testing. We can start with the first one, unit testing. Unit testing is the easiest method to test an application. I think, yeah, it's the easiest method to test an application. It's based on ensuring the correctness of a piece of code, like a function in general or a method of a class, but it doesn't reflect the real environment. And I think it's the least option to find the bugs. That's unit testing. That's the first type. But the second one is widget testing. Yes. Unit testing, yeah. Not in detail. Okay. The second one is widget testing. Widget testing is based on ensuring the correctness of the widget creation, rendering, and interaction with other widgets as expected. It goes one step further and provides, I think, real-time environment to find more bugs. So you don't test the functionality, but the widget rendering and creation, and so on. That's the widget testing. The last type is integration testing. Integration testing involves both unit testing and widget testing along with external components of the application. So we are trying to test the external components of the project, like databases, web services, like APIs, and so on. So it simulates or mocks the real environment to find nearly all bugs, but it's the most complicated process because you don't have the database, you don't have the real API. You just create a mock. It's like a small example, like the real one, and try to test it. So Flutter provides support for all types of testing. Unit testing, widget testing, and integration testing. It provides extensive and exclusive support for unit testing, widget testing, and integration testing. And in this short talk, we will talk and take an overview of those 3 types. At first, let's start with the unit testing. Let me ask you a question. How can you ensure that your app continues to work as you add more features or change existing functionality? For sure, by writing tests. The test package provides the core framework for writing unit tests, and the Flutter test package provides additional utilities for testing widgets. To write a good unit testing, there are just 6 steps to produce good unit testing. The first one is to add the test or Flutter test dependency. The test package provides the core functionality for writing tests in Dart. This is the best approach when writing packages consumed by web server and Flutter apps. You can add it in the dev dependencies because you don't use these packages like test and Flutter test except in the development. So you don't have to add it in the dependencies itself. The second step is creating a test file. In this example, we assume you work on the starter project, maybe the counter. So we have one file called counter.dart, and for that file, we will create another one, counter_test.dart. This file is important to test the functionality of the first one. The counter.dart file contains a class that you want to test and resides in the lib folder. Lib, it means library. But the counter underscore test.dart file contains the tests themselves and lives inside the test folder that you see in the directory of the project. In general, test files should reside inside a test folder located at the root of your Flutter application or package. Test files should always end with underscore test.dart. This is a convention used by the test runner when searching for tests. So if you don't use this convention, that's not testing. Okay. So when you're finished, the folder structure should look like this. The counter app, it consists of lib folder and test and other folders. In the lib folder, there is a counter .dart file, and in the test folder, there is a counter underscore test file, and it contains the test cases for the first one. The third step is creating a class to test. Next, you need a unit to test, and this unit is this class. I think unit is another name for a function. Yeah, unit is another name for a function. So we need a function, and the two functions we will test is increment and decrement. So for this example, we created a counter class inside the libcounter.dart file, and it's responsible for incrementing and decrementing a value starting at 0. For sure, you can add the encapsulation here by making the value attribute as a private variable, and you can add the setters and getters, and for sure add the required functions like increment and decrement. But we will use the simplest solution or the simplest form now. One note before we continue. For simplicity, I don't follow the test-driven development approach here in this talk. And if we have some time in the last of this session, we can talk about it in short. Yeah. So if you are more comfortable with that style of development, you can always go that route, and I really encourage you to do that. I really like test-driven development. Yeah. So let me continue. So the fourth step is writing a test for our class. Now in this step, we will start to write our first test cases for our class. Inside the counter underscore test.dart file, you can write the first unit test. Tests are defined using the top level test function. This function inside the main function. And you can check if the results are correct by using the top level expect function. We will discuss in detail about this about these new keywords. Both of these functions come from the test package. So at first, we must write all our tests inside the main function. Inside it, to make a test case to test a specific functionality, we can use the test function. For example, I want to test the functionality that's responsible for incrementing the counter. So I want to verify that everything is working good and the counter incremented. So I'll call a test function. And in the first parameter, we add the description for this test case, like counter value should be incremented if we called the increment function. And the second one is a void callback, or we can call it the body of the test case. So here we created an object from this class called the increment function for this object. And finally, using expect function, we expect the value of this counter object after incrementing. I expect the result will be 1. So the first parameter, the object or the variable, I should expect its value, and the second one, the value itself. So until that, congratulations, you wrote your first test case. Step number 5, you can combine multiple tests in a group. If you have several tests that are related to one another, combine them using the group function provided by the text package. You can see we added the group function. In the first parameter, we added the description for this group. It contains two test cases about counters, so I added the description as a counter. And in the void callback, we can add the test cases we need, like the first one, the second one, the third one. The first one, it expects the value, the starting value is 0. The second one, it expects the value after incrementing one time is 1. And the third one, after decrementing, and so on. You can combine multiple tests in a group using group function. Step number 6, you can, after all of that, you can run the test using this command. You have a counter class with tests in place. You can just run the tests. You can run the tests by executing the following command from the root of the project. This command is Flutter test, and the root of the project or the file contains testing. So this is all. This is all you want to write your first test cases or first test cases in unit testing, and I think this is I think this is very simple. Okay. If you have any question, you can add it in the comments, and I'll reply in yes. Okay. Awesome. Okay. After that, we can talk about widget testing. Let us ask the first question: what is widget testing? A widget testing in other UI frameworks, I think we called it component testing. Yeah, I think that, yeah. Okay, a widget testing tests a single widget. The goal of a widget testing is to verify that the widget's UI looks and interacts as expected. For example, if we click on this button, it will perform the expected behavior or not. So testing a widget involves multiple classes and requires a test environment that provides the appropriate widget lifecycle context. For example, the widget being tested should be able to receive and respond to user actions and events, perform layout and instantiate child widgets. So the widget testing is more comprehensive than a unit test. However, like a unit test, a widget test environment is replaced with an implementation much simpler than a full-blown UI system. Okay, to test widget classes, you need a few additional tools provided by the Flutter test package, which ships with the Flutter SDK. The first one is widget tester. This function allows building and interacting with widgets in a test environment, and the test widgets function automatically creates a new widget tester for each test case and is used in place of the normal test function. And the finder allow us to search for widgets in the test environment, and the matcher constants help verify whether a finder locates a widget or multiple widgets in the test environment. If you, I think you got it. They like the unit testing, but in other names, in different names. This sounds, if this sounds overwhelming, don't worry. We'll learn how all of these pieces fit together throughout some steps. The first one, you can add the Flutter test dependency in the dev dependencies like that. After that, you can create a test widgets test. With a widget to test, you can begin by writing your first test. Use the test widgets function provided by the Flutter test package. Yeah, that's it. At first, the second step, we created a widget to test, and this is the counter, the starter project. Our starter project in any Flutter project we create. No, it's not the counter. Oh, the counter in the integration. Yeah, that's a simple application. Yeah, we created a widget that displays a title and a message, a simple widget. After that, we can create a test widget test. Here with a widget to test, you can begin by writing your first test using test widgets function provided by the Flutter test package to define a test. Then test widgets function allows you to define a widget test and creates a widget tester object to work with. So test widgets like test in test and Flutter test in unit testing, but I think the only difference between them is there is a widget tester object here. So this test verifies that my widget displays a given title and message. It's titled accordingly, and it will be populated in the next section. Yeah, the next slide. This test widgets function is like the test function in unit testing, but with the widget tester in the second parameter, because it deals with the widgets and so on. But the test there, it deals with the normal objects. Yeah. So step number 4, you can build the widget using the widget tester. We need to build my widget inside the test environment. We can use it. We can use this object tester and use the function inside it called bump widget to implement the widget called my widget. So the bump widget builds and renders the provided widgets and create my widget instances that displays T as the title and M as the message. So here وكأننا عملنا creation ل widget called my widget. Okay. Step number 5, you can search for our widget using a finder. After implementing the widget called my widget, we should find the widget itself to expect is that the value happened or not. With a widget in the test environment, search through the widget tree for the title and message text widgets using Finder. And this allows verification that the widgets are being displayed correctly. For this purpose, you can use find method provided by the Flutter test package to create the the finders. Since you know you're looking for text widgets, use the find.text. So if you want to find any widget other than text, you can add find dot and write this widget. So here we need to search for a text widget called or text widget printing T and M. So we wrote find.text and this in title finder object and a message finder object. Step number 6, verify the widget using a matcher. You can verify the title and message text widgets appear on the screen using the matcher constants provided by Flutter test. Matcher here is like matcher are classes. So matcher classes are a core part of the test package and provide a common way to verify a given value meets expectations. Ensure that the widgets appear on the screen exactly one time. For this purpose, you use the finds one widget matcher. So we expect the title finder object equals the finds one widget. That means this title exists and he found it one time. For sure, there are additional measures like finds nothing, finds widgets, and so on. You can find them in detail in the documentation of this case. So this is all you want to know about widget testing. The last one is integration testing. Unit testing and widget testing are handy for testing individual classes, functions, or widgets. However, they generally don't test how individual pieces work together as a whole or capture the performance of an application running on a real device. These tasks are performed with integration tests. Integration tests are written using the integration test package provided by the Flutter SDK. So in this short tutorial, you will learn how to test a counter app, how to set up integration tests, how to verify specific text is displayed by the app, how to tap specific widgets if you have a button and you want to tap on it, and you want to verify if I tapped on it, it will do something specific like incrementing the counter, make any animation and so on or not, and how to run integration testing. Let's start with the first step. You can create an app to test. First, we can create the default or the starter project when creating a new Flutter project. This app allows a user to tap on a button to increase a counter, and you can add any event to decrement the counter and so on. So the second step is adding the integration test dependency. You can add the integration test and Flutter test packages to write integration tests. Add these dependencies to dev dependencies section of the app's pubspec.yaml file, specifying the Flutter SDK as the location of the package. After that, you can create the test files. Create a new directory called integration test with an empty app test.file so that we can create our integration test cases in this file. Next, you can write the integration test. So if you focus on this snippet of code, you find inside the main function, we initialized integration test widgets Flutter binding, and this is a singleton service that executes tests on a physical device. So we have this comment, and after that we have a group of test cases. This group has this description, and in the void callback or in the body of the group, we have a test widget to make widget testing. And in the test widgets, we have the description and widget tester. Inside it, we use tester.bump and settle. I told you that bump we use bump when we want to implement a specific widget tester object. So here we used bump and settle because why bump and settle, and we didn't use bump widget like this one, because bump and settle we used it when dealing with anything in an animation or anything with stateful widgets and so on. So here we used bump and settle. We expected at first the text we will find its value will be 0, and we will find it one time. So finds one widget, this match this this value or this object. And that's true because at first the counter starts from 0 if you didn't tap on the plus counter. So we will find the fab or floating action button because we will tap on it. We will click on this button for one time. So after click on it, tester.tab, here we clicked on the button, and after we bump and settle because we need to trigger a frame or we need to know the new result, we will find or expect the new text is 1. We will verify the counter increments by 1. It was 0 and now its value is 1. So this is in short how to write an integration test. Finally, you can test these integration tests on your mobile. It's a very important thing to test it on a real device, because if you try to test it on an emulator or iOS simulator, it didn't work. It doesn't work with you. So how to test it on a real device or real mobile device? By running this command, flutter test integration test slash app underscore test dot dart, so that you can run the integration tests you write, and you can write integration test for everything in your app. Just know the difference between unit testing and the widget testing and the integration testing. So one last thing about integration testing. Here we can test, we can test the important scenarios, and don't forget this this first line. We initialized integration test widgets Flutter binding because it's a singleton service that executes tests on a physical device. So we will execute it on a physical device, not the iOS simulator or an Android emulator. So this was a very short talk. I talked about testing in a basic way, unit testing and widget testing, and finally integration testing. If you have any question, that will be amazing. Thank you, Fadwa. Okay. Okay, I think this is my first time talking in English, and I hope this was good. So thank you. You can follow me on any of these platforms: YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter, and LinkedIn. And you can start learning programming from scratch if you don't know that, or if you are a beginner from this URL. And thank you. That's it, and thank you.